people are going to be enlightened by renunciation. In this chapter, Lord Krishna again divides his subject of renunciation into the three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. The 18th chapter is also a synopsis of the entire Gita. He gives us everything in a nutshell.
And here in chapter 18, we finally come to the final chapter of the Gita. It is a synopsis of all of it, but it is the longest chapter, and it touches the very essence of who we are, what to do and how to do it. And what is renunciation? How do we lose all these attachments, which seem so dear, so loving? If you remember, last week we spoke about gift giving, right? How it should be given. When gifts are given at the right time, at the right moment, with the right intention, that gift is blessed. And the energy it creates is phenomenal. If a gift is given because you want something in return or because you want favors, this kind of gift is called rajasic and always ends up in pain and disappointment. The third one, tamasic giving. When you give because, well, you just want to give it because, for example, in things like drugs, selling children, all this kind of negative kind of behavior where you're giving money for somebody to shoot someone or start a war or weapons. It's lazy giving in the sense that it's to hurt somebody else for personal gain. This is called tamasic and will bring a bad end. So today's gifts have all been given in love. So it is not the gift, that material thing, it is the energy that resides in everything. Because we are basically frequency and energy, okay? Please understand this. You know, we are pixelated inside. Our atoms were made up of atoms. And really the cells don't really touch, it's just all empty space inside. That's why pranayama is so important, because we take the prana from everywhere, the divine source, and we mix it with our prana in our body. And if the prana is taken with love, that will build up in our body. If our prana is taken with anger, because anger is a lot of prana, right? A lot of energy. That will live in our body. That anger, that pain, like Gurudev said, please do not harbor hurt or anger in your heart, because soon your heart and your body will be a junkyard. And in that junkyard, disease will happen. So that's a junkyard. So forgive, let go. And today we're talking about all manners of letting go. Chapter 18 is the yoga of freedom and renunciation. So Arjuna says, "Oh Krishna, please tell me the essence of renunciation, sannyas, and non-attachment, tyaga." What is the difference? Renunciation, and here's sannyas. Sannyas is when somebody gives up everything, and that's what monks are supposed to do, and that's why we call them sannyasins. They give up everything. And that's renunciation. And non-attachment, tyaga, is more like letting go. Letting go. And that makes you feel free. So the Blessed Lord said, renouncing all personally motivated actions is renunciation. So renouncing all personally motivated actions. What does that mean? I want. If I don't have this, I'm miserable. I'm going to make you miserable because it's all about me. Okay, that's personally motivated. And letting go For the desire of your fruits, of your actions, is non-attachment. So he's explaining, he's trying to make it very clear to us. What is non-attachment? Do what you have to do with no expectations. And you all know, it's really hard to do that, isn't it? Because somewhere deep in us, we want something back somewhere. And this is the connection we have to cut in ourselves, that everything we need is really inside of us already. And in the end, anyway, whatever you get up from outside, if you really understand it, one day you have to leave it all behind here. You can't take it with you. I remember my early days of practice, I often used to say, why am I so worried about this? I can't even take a piece of hair with me when I die. Not worth worrying about. And by just repeating these simple statements to myself, when I got my new home for the first time in Portland, in Gibraltar, I remember after waiting 23 years, and I finally got it. I remember the first night I moved in, I hadn't had nightmares for years. What did I dream? Fear already arose. I dreamt there was a fire and I lost it all. And I got up in the morning and I realized, look, I just got this new home and I'm already attached. How did I know I was attached? Because my dream was fear, that I may lose it. Already. See, when you get what you want, already you're scared to lose it. So I thought, oh no. So I went around the house and I went to everything that was brand new and went, not mine, not mine, all alone, not mine, not my home, divine energy is yours. So 10 years later, we had problems with the business and we had to sell the home. It was easy. It wasn't difficult. And my husband said, are you sure? You know this has been your dream for so long. No. We sell it, we get good money, and we don't have to worry. Perfect, isn't it? Everything is there for a time, a reason. And this is the renunciation. And now look what I got. How did it happen? Do you see? And this is what, when you renounce, when you don't hold on, it almost seems that you have to suffer for a little while, then life opens many doors for you because you're not resisting. You got it? What you resist will? That's it. Remember that. Whenever you're getting this resistance, step back and say, no, the more I resist it, the more it will happen. Let it go. Just let it go. And that's painful. So he will explain this in the next few slokas. So, do what you have to do, expect nothing in return. 3. Some wise people believe that all actions should be renounced as seeds of evil, while others believe that certain actions should not be renounced. Self-sacrifice, selfless giving, and self-discipline. Listen, Arjuna, I will now teach you the essence of non-attachment. Actually, there are 3 levels of non-attachment. 5. Self-sacrifice, selfless giving, and self-discipline, in fact, should not be renounced. Instead, they should certainly be continued because such actions purify the mind and make you wise. So, here he's saying very clearly, don't renounce everything. You can't anyway when you're in the world. It's quite difficult. Remember this story about the Swami who wanted to renounce anger. For those who don't know, I will tell this story again. There was a Swami who was always very, very angry. And all his students would say, Swami, you're a monk. Why are you always angry? So he thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to renounce my anger. I am going to go up to a cave and for 10 years, I'm going to meditate and work on it. So what did he do? He went up to the cave And all the people of the town in India, they do this, right? If they know there's a monk, they will take food to them every day. And they used to leave food outside his cave. 10 years later, he comes down this mountain and he said, oh, hallelujah, 10 years, not one word of anger. Oh, he is so happy, I'm free from my anger. And then he's walking down the street. And people go, oh, well, the village is coming. Swami, you're back. Is it true that you're not angry anymore? I haven't been angry for 10 years. Oh, Swami, you're really not angry? No, not angry. And one of the villagers was an old man who knew this monk for many years and only known him as angry. So what did he do? He goes, but he was a bit deaf, right? He goes, Swami, are you sure you're not angry anymore? No, old man, I'm not angry anymore. Are you sure, Swamiji? I didn't hear you. No, I'm not anymore. Oh, Swami, are you sure? I told you, shut up. I'm not anymore, old man. So you see, by running away never solves the issue. And here he's saying, you got to face it. Renunciation, just because something is so difficult, you don't want to face it, but you need to face it where it's affecting you, right? By going away for 10 years, it was with people he was always angry, right? So he didn't lose it. He had to be with people to practice. Otherwise, how is he going to get rid of the anger? How's he going to practice? He's alone. Nobody's going to get him irritated, right? So that was the Swami story. So you see, many people think, I'll renounce this, I'll give up this, I'll give up that. No, but when you give up something, just because you give it up, doesn't mean you give it up here. Like, many people, when they first come, they go, oh, Nalanie, should we be vegetarian? And I go, it is not my place to tell you what to eat or what not to eat. This is your place to, if you're asking the question, it's because you're questioning it. But if you force yourself to give up, and every day you're getting in a bad mood, and you're picking on people because you're irritated, because you want to have that and you can't, then no, that is not pure giving up, because it's still in your mind. And what is it causing? More danger by your negative moods. You're hurting more people. So better to be truthful to yourself. And if you're ready to give up, the time will come. You'll just let it go, and it'll be done with so much joy. It will come just at the right time. And so many yogis I've known over the years when they first started, and many other yoga schools used to be very upset with me, because I used to say, when your time comes, you'll know what to do. I said, how did you give up? I said, I just got up one day and couldn't eat meat anymore. Just couldn't. The animal became energy. I couldn't do it. But I will never judge anybody who does. My late husband loved meat. So what do? You don't judge, because that's not renunciation as well. That's what I want. And of course, in the beginning, when I wanted him to eat what I wanted him to eat, we'd argue. It didn't work. So in the end, I go, no, he's going to eat it. I'm going to bless it. I think that was a lesson of acceptance that the gods taught me. Because I remember when one of the disciples of my master came, and she said, I don't know how you cook for your husband meat when you're a vegetarian. And I go, he's God sent to me to teach me. To teach me to accept all, not my hands. And I said, but my Gurudev knows it. He's not said one word to my husband. Why are you complaining? So this is not, in the end, you have to see, how is it that you live? How is it that you live? Are you living truthfully? Are you living a lie? Better to live truthfully, and when the time is right, everything will work out. And besides, I don't know what your body needs. I don't want to play God. I would never want to do that. It is something everybody has to do for themselves, and there's no judgment in any of this. And I think this is what we have to see. We really have to let go of all these boxes, right, wrong, bad, good. We really don't know anybody's karma. And when you let go of all those boxes, who becomes free? Yeah, correct, because you're not in your mind living with, I don't like what he's doing, or I don't like what she's doing, blah, 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 blah. Can you imagine living with those thoughts every day? I can't. I think it'd make me so sick. I think it'd make me so sick. They want to do that, that's their problem. It's not mine. That's renunciation, letting go. Is it? Do you own anybody that you should live their lives from them? Advice. The wise shall not disturb the mind of the unwise, but instead teach them by example. And I ask you, which example do you want to prefer? Do you prefer, most people, you're stupid, you're an idiot, you're wrong, you're bad, or peace to you? Which example do you prefer? Children know immediately. So we are children too. We forget that. Really, in our hearts, we are little children. When we finish teaching half a class, it was them, hug yourself. Because now that you're grown up, nobody will say, good job done. But thank your body. Say thank you to your body. Say thank you to the mind for bringing you into this class. Because many times, I don't think I'll go. And when you come, you feel so peaceful afterwards. Thank your body. Thank your mind. Thank your spirit for awakening. Thank them all. Because if you don't thank your own selves, who's going to thank them? Right? So you thank them because this is the instrument. It doesn't belong to you. You need to be grateful for it. We condemn our instruments too much. So here I'd like to read something that Gurudev says. Under the guise of renunciation, Lord Krishna explains, we shouldn't renounce every action. In fact, we should perform certain actions that will purify our minds. This is very important because the minute we hear that renunciation leads to liberation, immediately we want to drop all the uncomfortable duties. Anything we don't like quickly, we renounce. We might renounce eating salad and plain bread, but not ice cream. We tend to choose what we want to renounce. But here he says there are certain things that should not be renounced by a spiritual seeker. Yajna, which means self-sacrifice. Dhanam, which means giving. And tapas. Tapas is accepting pain for purification. These three ought to be performed by people who want to be wise. In other words, intelligent people will not renounce these acts. Now, when you hear the word in English, and I really would like to explain this one, because in the Western world, when we talk of self-sacrifice, it really makes it like, oh, I have to give up. It's not like that at all. Self-sacrifice is, for example, being a mother or grandmother, your child is sick, and you sacrifice your night's sleep or week's sleep to see your child better. It's self-sacrifice, but you don't think of it as, yes, you'll go through pain in the sense like I didn't sleep all night, next day you're kind of like a zombie for a week or whatever, but you accept it. You totally accept it. The parents that don't, right, and fight against it, oh, well, my child kept me up all night, they always have a problem with their children later on in life. The children will rebel, get upset, say, my parents didn't treat me right. So you see, self-sacrifice is not a bad thing. It is actually quite beautiful. Self-sacrifice, you'll sacrifice going to a party and coming here and listening to this. For me, this is great, right? But it's uplifting. But the material world is beckoning. Oh, let's go to the port, whatever. The material world beckons. And so this is tapas. And sometimes when you do the self-sacrifice, you experience a little burning, a little pain because you're letting something go. But in the long run, that letting go gives you that sense of, you know what? It set me free. I don't have to do this to make me happy. I'm already free. Why am I doing this to myself? Why am I driving myself crazy? And that is the feeling of peace that you get. So, and self-discipline. Later on in the same chapter, it says, what is poison in the beginning will bring nectar in the end. What is nectar in the beginning will bring poison in the end. So when you're doing self-discipline, any form of self-discipline, you want to learn to play the piano, you want to go to the gym to build your muscles, we're talking about building spiritual muscles here. We don't spend enough time doing that. So, and that's the only thing that will stay with us beyond this earth is our spirit, our energy. So, of course, when you initially planting the self-discipline, it is hard work. It is austere. You get up very early in the morning and I really want to sleep for another 10 minutes. But when you keep at it, you soon see the benefits. But if you give up, stop, start, you don't get the benefits. This is why Sri Patanjali says, you have to practice for a
long time without a break and with all your heart.
You're really good students. I love it. And that is it. It doesn't happen overnight. All this spiritual, have some ayahuasca, have some drugs. Yes, you get high. But tomorrow when the drugs are gone, you go low. It is borrowed. It is not yours. It is not, does not belong to you. It is borrowed, using drugs to get you somewhere. And sometimes when you use the drugs and you got a weak mind, it can disturb your mind and break your mind. You don't know. Very strong people like the shamans do it because they were brought up in it. They understood the culture. They understood the spirit. They were brought up with spirit. Many Shiva devotees do this in India because they're brought up with that spirit of strength. So they don't go all over these places with these nightmares and then a few months later people have tried this and tried that, come back to me broken. Oh, my Kundalini is broken. You've tried too much stuff. My master always said to me, do not allow anybody or anything to raise your Kundalini. When you are ready, the gods will do it. The gods will do it when you're ready. And then it's joyful. You won't suffer because you've done all the groundwork. And this is what the study is, the groundwork. You are building your foundation on solid ground. You know the story of the 3 little pigs and the wolf, right? You know what that really means, right? Build your foundation. The first pig built a house on straw. And the wolf came and I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down. So if you build your spirit on little dabbling here and dabbling there and dabbling there and dabbling there, you're everywhere, all over the place, somebody can break you. Then the second one, built it with wood. That's right. Stronger, but still not solid. And the same thing happened. It blew it down. The third one, solid. So really this story is a spiritual story. And then the wolf cannot blow you away. People cannot influence you. Material things cannot influence you. You really, and you will get lessons. And very early in my life, I got lessons with this, and I need to tell you this story. Many years ago when we had the center in Gibraltar, I was living there. And we had quite a few members, right? And what happened was a very, very rich person came to see me from Marbella. He said, oh, I heard about you. We didn't have so much internet. So he heard through, I don't know how. Anyway, he said, I want you to move to Marbella, and I would love to build he talked to me for 2 hours first, finding out about what I knew. He questioned me a lot. So, and he said, I want to open this center and I have millions to invest, but I want you to run it. I said, wow, I thought it was a huge compliment. And especially that time, my business wasn't good. It'll pick you, life will give you the temptations when things are the most difficult. It's really interesting. Okay. And then I was so excited and I go, great, that'd be fantastic. And then I said, we can open it out to the world and everybody can come. And he goes, Nalanie, what are you talking about, everyone? I said, everyone. I said, I know you need to keep a place like that going so the rich can pay for the poor. So I told him about a hospital in India, Dadavaswani's hospital, where they had a rich section and the poor section, and where the rich subsidized the poor. It was fantastic. It worked so beautifully. I said, that's a perfect yoga center. And everybody can, and the rich can use their funds to help those who have nothing and give them homes and look after them. Wow. And you have so many millions to invest. And he looked at me, he said, absolutely not. And I said, why? Yoga is seeing everyone as divine. And he goes, no. He said, only the rich can come. Then I said to him, namaste, I can't do it for you. He said, you're a fool. I'm offering you millions, a life that will make you famous and this. And I go, and sell my soul? You gotta be kidding. But it came, you know, for a moment I was like really excited. And then he came to the yoga center, and I remember some of the old students were there, and I introduced him, and he was saying, I'm telling your teacher that I can give her everything, but she doesn't listen to me. I talked to her, and I said, don't bother. But, you know, this is the kind of temptation that you will get in life. You will get in life. And as soon as you rise higher in the energy field, you will get temptations. So if you build your house of brick, nobody can blow you down. And thank God I didn't. Can you imagine? I would have been his prisoner. Isn't it true? I would have been a prisoner. I wouldn't be able to teach yoga as I know it. I would teach it as a business, which for me wasn't my goal in life. That was never my goal in life. I worked in a shop for making my living. Yoga was service. So, and everybody is different. We all, now is a different era. It's not like what it is. And I like to say again and again, I'm not saying it is wrong to earn money for yoga. Absolutely not. What I'm saying is renounce the fruits of your action. Do it for love and you will be looked after. Charge little. Don't be greedy. Those can afford, great. And those who can't, no big deal. It's really very nice. It makes me feel so happy we can do that. I have clients that can't afford anything. What am I going to do? Close the door? No, I'm not going to help you. Absolutely not. They're God's children. And it always works. Isn't everybody God's child? Right? So who are we to close doors? So this is the renunciation of the I. Are you seeing that? It doesn't mean that you have to eradicate your personality and take away who you are. Now, I am trying to make this point very clear because it took me many, many years of suffering, of understanding and questioning the divine, what is right and what is wrong and what is okay to charge and what isn't and how to do this. And it was finally came to the balance, which I understood. But it took me many years of struggle. So I'm hoping that you get a little bit of a shortcut by these stories. And that's why I like to tell these stories, because as it happens to me, I know for many of the old students it already happens. You know, Gurudev said something to one of my students a long time ago. We were in Yoga Bell, and it was like this. He was sitting with all of us, and one of the students asked him, Gurudev, you know, when we do this study, sometimes what happens if our ego gets so big? And he said, oh, you don't have to worry about that. Life will make sure you get a knock. It will knock you. You don't have to worry about it. Life will knock you. You will learn. You will have to learn. So, And I love that answer because it's true. I see sometimes people get so stuck in their ways and you tell them and they don't want to hear, and then you just go, you know what? I don't want life to knock you. Please listen. That's my prayer constantly to them. But please listen, because life will knock you. And inevitably, in the years I've gone through this, which is 33 years now, it really pains me. Sometimes people get knocked so badly. They suffer so much. You could have made that choice, but they didn't build the ground on solid bricks inside. They based it on outside material worth, not inside spiritual worth. So that is renunciation. It's a very deep subject. Something that you all of you really need to sit with yourself and think about. And this is the quiet moments of contemplation I advise you all to have. Even sometimes replace meditation with contemplation. And this is why where the scriptures come in really useful. And if you read 1 or 2 slokas that you don't understand at night, and you read it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times at night, just keep repeating it, okay? Just keep repeating it. In the morning, you read it again 3 or 4 times. Read it 3 or 4 days. I tell you, after the 5th day, wow, I didn't know that's what it meant. I didn't know that that's what I'm doing. It's giving me a message. That's why I'm not getting it. I haven't got the message. That's why I have to keep repeating it. It's telling me something. Why am I not understanding it? Because I don't want to face it. It's actually in me. That's why I don't want to face me. And you get your answers. So sometimes this contemplation is really what helps to shift your consciousness. Sometimes even more than just trying to keep the mind quiet. Because that's where scriptures come in. It tickles something that you know, deep inside you know it. But of course life is so busy and we avoid the truth. But when you read it again, you know why I'm unhappy? Because I wanted my son to react a certain way, and he didn't act this way because I wanted him to react this way. And I am unhappy, so we've created a war when really I have to say, this is what you think is right. I don't agree with you, and I let you free to learn your lessons. I need to step back and let go of my son. I mean, it's happened with so many mothers and daughters over the years, and sons and sisters and brothers over the years. And sometimes it takes years, and they come crying, my family was so horrible to me, and you feel their pain, they're really horrible. Let go. Don't go near them. Let go, but try and develop. I love them, but I know their mind is sick. And I see people do that. And what happens? Wow. From that tapas, it's like all the gods shower them with gifts. Or some kind of what Sri Patanjali calls occult powers. They really start to know things or start to develop clairaudience, because they went through that deep pain and forgave it. So deep pain is not bad for you when you accept it. And this is the tapas part of it. And that's why I love Book 2, Sutra 1 in the Yoga Sutras of Sri Patanjali. Accepting pain for
Purification.
Study of and surrender to the divine or God or universe. This is Kriya Yoga, that which cleanses you, that which sets you free. It's interesting, right? It's really fun. It's a journey. And when you fall and you make mistakes, the clever thing to do is get up again and say, I'm human. Next time, and next time, and next time. I'm human. It's okay. And what helped me through my years was I just love this line, and I must have repeated it 1,000,000 times, is when Peter asks, Lord Jesus, how many times do we forgive? And Lord Jesus said, 70 times 7. Does not your Father in heaven do more for you every day? So that's where you start to forgive yourself as well. 70 times 7, because I'm not really Nalanie. Nalanie is a physical form of the spiritual energy that it came in this body to learn some lessons. I want to learn them fast. So forgive yourself. Step up, try not to do it again. Try, because you put that in your head. Try not to repeat it again. You tell yourself. Then the next time you do it, I fell. Try not. Next time, just don't. But you don't give up on you, okay? Doesn't matter who gives up on you. Don't give up for you, because the Father lives in you. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. That's what it is. Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu. So these are knots in our body, emotional belief systems that we need to knock out of ourselves and forgive each of these things, okay? Because the divine is in us. 6. However, it is essential, Arjuna, that these actions too be performed without attachment to the fruits. I already explained that. Actually, it is wrong to renounce any duty that is appropriate for you to do. Such so-called renunciation comes from ignorance of reality, tamas. Abandoning a duty because it is or may be difficult or painful is rajasic detachment and does not bring any merit. Pure non-attachment is carrying out your responsibilities simply because it is right that you do so, while at the same time renouncing attachment to the fruits of your actions. After you renounce all personal attachments, you will be filled with purity and clearly discern the nature of dispassion, tyaga. Then all remaining doubts fall away and you feel neither aversion nor attraction toward unpleasant or pleasant work. So here he's saying, actually, it is wrong, because some of the monks say you should renounce all duties. He said, no, it is also wrong to renounce the duties that are given to you. You need to do them. Sometimes they're not pleasant. And this brings me back to a story of a young lady who she went through a really tough time with her marriage, finally got out of it, went through a really tough time, finally got out of it, finally got some freedom in her life. And boom, her mom got ill, very, very sick, ended up in hospital needing care. And she didn't know how long for, because it was a stroke, but she didn't know how long for. Finally able to move on in her life. She came to me crying, and she goes, oh, what should I do? I'm so upset. My mom is sick. Now at all times when I'm finally got my freedom, now I have to look after her because my family member, they have children. I'm the only one without children. I have to take and complaining about her brother, her sister, and they told her she has to have the most responsibility. And she was crying and crying. So I said, oh, my dear girl, I'm so sorry. You're going through tapas. But I said, if you abandon this responsibility to look after your mother at the last years of her life, and we don't know, it could be the last month, you will live to regret it. I know you finally got your freedom. Maybe you got your freedom because this is the work the divine wants you to do. It's testing you. Can you really love unconditionally? And this is your mother. This is your mother. Can you really love unconditionally? So the choice is yours. Next day she calls me up. Nalanie, I have no choice. I said, I'm so sorry. Painful, right? It's tapas. Accept it. Now try and love that you do it. Because your mom will feel your energy and then she'll feel guilty. She doesn't need to feel that in her last days. Her mom actually lived a year beyond this. But this girl, through looking after her mom, every day after work, going to the hospital, grew so close. The closeness they never had, they developed. All the sorrows that her mom, because her mom's generation, you don't talk about anything. Her mom gave to this daughter who thought she was the least favorite. They created such a bond of love, and she was able to speak to her mother about her spirituality and yoga, which her mother never accepted. But because of her devotion to her mother at the end, the mother accepted and died beautifully at the hands of the daughter. It was a year of tapas, but she said to me, Nalanie, I am so glad I did this. Oh, you just get like a good girl. You did your duty. There's no regret. And I must say she's rewarded really well for it now. Freedom, joy, perfect partner. And I'm thinking, at that time you thought you were in a prison and now you're in a palace. You just don't know, right? And like Krishna said to Arjuna, the good you do never comes to a bad end. But we all have to go through a bit of suffering. And this is what I think, and I think of her every time, because she really, my heart went out to her. I feel like saying, I'm so sorry, but no, you have to do it. I'm so sorry. I'm giving you the advice you don't want to hear. You don't want to hear it, but she did it. She did it. So I was so happy for her. And it was closure. No more karma between those. Everything was closed. And from all the family, she was the most peaceful. So it was great. So that's what it's saying. Just abandon just because it's difficult. Sometimes just do it. And then pure sattvic non-attachment is just do it and forget what comes. And then you will be filled with great peace. Great peace. And I think I will finish on Sloka 10 today. It's got 72 in this chapter. But because it's really touching the real renunciation and non-attachment, it is really deep, because in the earlier chapters it talks about renunciation, it talks about letting go, it talks about all that. But now it's like how and why, what to let go of and what not to let go of. You have to have common sense, okay? This is where I ask you all to understand who you are, what your needs are, what needs to be granted and liberated from, like the mantra, Om united with the source on which the yogis ever dwell, grants desires and liberation. Salutations to the Om Karam. Whatever you really, really, really desire, you will get. But be careful, because you will also be liberated from it. It's like me with my home, right? Then you thought of the fire. And I don't want that fear. I prefer to live in a simple box than have that fear. Do you know what I'm saying? So that feeling of liberation to help us remember, but only when you get it can you free from it. So sometimes you need to get it to realize it's not all you thought. But if you get it like together with family or in a relationship, then you treasure it as a gift of God. So many spiritual couples, what happens, instead of lifting one another, they compete with one another and they put each other down. That's not spirit. Spirit is the divine in you sees the divine in me. The divine in me sees the divine in you. So we need to uplift each other.